In the dim light of a royal chamber, a loyal jester sits lost in thought. Beyond the half-open door, a grand ballroom glows with revelry. The music swells, and noble guests laugh, yet in this room, everything is still. This haunting scene comes to life in Jan Matejko's 1862 masterpiece, Stańczyk. Matejko, a young Polish painter just 24 years old at the time, captured a moment so powerful that it launched him to fame. Today, Stańczyk is one of the National Museum in Warsaw's most famous paintings. It feels cinematic and emotional, a snapshot where laughter has faded into silence. Jan Matejko grew up under foreign rule in a divided Poland, and he made art to serve his homeland. He is best known for huge history paintings filled with crowds and drama. Yet with Stańczyk, Matejko does something unusual. He paints a single figure in a quiet room. In giving the jester his own facial features, Matejko turned the painting into a kind of self-portrait and a credo. A culture expert notes this work can be interpreted as a specific credo of Jan Matejko, a symbolic expression of his artistic philosophy and also his views on life. Matejko painted it at the very start of his career. He was raised with strong patriotic feeling, determined to keep Polish history alive under foreign rule. The young artist planned to warn his countrymen about the dangers of bad decisions and disunity. Within a year, he painted two other famous works, Skarga's Sermon and Rejtan's Protest, that together with Stańczyk form a kind of triptych warning about Poland's fate. In a sense, even at 24, Matejko presented himself through Stańczyk as a sensitive patriot and a national voice of conscience. In 1862, partitioned Poland desperately needed such voices. Stańczyk himself was a real man of the 16th century. As court jester to Polish kings Alexander Jagiellon, Sigismund I and Sigismund II, he was famous not just for jokes, but for sharp intelligence. According to historians, Stańczyk was well-read and intelligent, characterized by a sharp sense of humor and courage in expressing opinions. In other words, he used satire to make powerful points. He may have been a clown by job, but he was far more than mere entertainment. Legendary stories about Stańczyk underline his wit. One famous tale, during a king's bear hunt in 1533, the bear charges the royals and Stańczyk flees, rather than heroically confronting it. Angered, King Sigismund I says, "The bear bit you, and you ran away." Stańczyk coolly replies, "It is a greater folly to let out a bear that was already in a cage." This pointed joke was actually a veiled criticism. He was saying it was foolish to free a threat that one could control, an allusion to court politics of the time. This anecdote shows Stańczyk's sharp political mind. In Matejko's era, Stańczyk had become a Polish cultural hero, a symbol of wisdom beneath a jester's hat. Many considered him a man of great insight who used his job to criticize and warn his contemporaries by the use of satire. Matejko was certainly aware of this legacy when he chose Stańczyk as his subject. In Matejko's painting, Stańczyk is seated alone at a small table, his body heavy with concern. He holds his forehead in one hand, clearly troubled. His bright red jester's robe is rich, but the colors around him are dark and muted. The National Museum of Warsaw notes the power of this contrast. Stańczyk is shown sitting alone in a dark room, while a ball is in full swing in the neighboring hall. In other words, beyond the chamber's doorway, a huge party rages, but inside Stańczyk's little room, there is silence and shadow. Culture experts emphasize this visual divide. Through the open door, we see an elegantly dressed queen, Bona Sforza, hosting a lavish ball by candlelight. Elegant nobles dance, and servants carry platters of food. It should be a scene of joy. But Stańczyk takes no part in it. He sits in deep thought, head bowed and distant, an image completely unexpected for a man in his costume. In fact, one art commentator observes, at first glance, it depicts a court jester with his head bowed, lost in thought, an appearance juxtaposing what one would expect of a jester. Instead of laughter and acrobatic silliness, we see stillness and sorrow. His eyes gaze at the table or out of the frame, not watching the dancers at all. Matejko's focus on Stańczyk is deliberate. Every detail centers on the Jester's inner world. On the small table is an opened letter. The Jester's discarded maret, the stick with a mock head on it, lies on the floor nearby. Over his neck he wears a medallion of the Black Madonna of Częstochowa, a sacred Polish icon. These accessories reinforce how seriously he's taking the moment. One can almost feel the quiet around him, while just beyond, the firelight of the ballroom suggests warmth and life. In this painting, Stańczyk Matejko turns the festive scene upside down. The Jester, the figure of laughter, is the only one who is silent and alone. Why the sadness in a party hall? Matejko set the scene on 30 July 1514, during the reign of King Sigismund I. On that day, something terrible happened. The Polish-Lithuanian fortress of Smolensk fell to the Russians. Smolensk was a key stronghold on Poland's eastern frontier. Its loss struck fear into the nation, for it meant invasion and danger to the homeland. The letter on the table in the painting likely bears this awful news. It even shows the year 1533 and the word Samogitia, hinting at the crisis. In the background of the painting, however, the nobles dance to celebrate a victory, the Battle of Orsha, which was a recent Polish triumph. Matejko deliberately shows this contrast. While the king's court is distracted by glory and politics, Stańczyk alone knows the truth of Smolensk's fall. As historians note, only the Jester realizes the letter's significance. While the rulers are partying, celebrating, disregarding the bad news about Smolensk, in effect, laughter and celebration are happening right next door. But Stańczyk's mind is miles away. To the viewer, it's clear that Stańczyk is reading this letter with horror. His stomach heaves against a small stool as if he's just collapsed into the chair. His wrinkled carpet is crumpled at his feet, as if he fell onto it when the news hit. His expression is one of pure despair. As one art guide put it, the painting shows Stańczyk immersed in thought, gazing out into the distance with a mixture of contemplation and melancholy. The message is that while Poland's elite are merry, a catastrophe has struck, and only this fool in the next room notices its true cost. Matejko fills Stańczyk with symbolic details that speak volumes about Poland's plight. Each object in that quiet room has meaning. Consider these key symbols in the painting. Discarded marat, Jester scepter. On the floor lies Stańczyk's marat, the wooden stick with a little carved head that jesters often use. Its position on the ground shows that he has put aside his role as entertainer. He no longer feels like joking or mocking. In a sense, the Jester's toy has no place right now because the moment is too grave. His laughter is literally set down. Black Madonna medallion. On Stańczyk's chest hangs a small religious icon, the Black Madonna of Częstochowa. This is a revered symbol of hope and faith for Poland. Its presence reminds us that Stańczyk is not only emotional, but also patriotic and spiritual. He looks to this national patroness for strength as he mourns. The contrast of this holy image against the gloom of the scene heightens the tragedy. A country's faith is tested in dark times. Open window. Wawel Cathedral and Comet. To the left of Stańczyk, an open window is drawn back, letting in cool night air. Through it, we glimpse the silhouette of Wawel Cathedral in Krakow, the coronation site of Polish kings. Above Wawel, a bright comet blazes across the sky. In art, comets are ancient omens of disaster. Here, the comet cutting through the night is a clear omen of an upcoming catastrophe. Matejko was famous for hiding meanings in the sky. The comet warns of Poland's dark fate. Even the stars align ominously. Orion's belt appears above the cathedral, a silent mythological hint of pride before a fall. Court dwarf with lute. In the ballroom outside, near the footlights of the dancers, a dwarfish entertainer walks carrying a lute. In Renaissance symbolism, dwarves often signified folly or decline. Here he is towing the lute, a symbol of glory, but painted small and mock serious. This little figure itself suggests that the proud Jagiellonian dynasty itself is in decay. The kingdom's triumph, the lute victory, is being handled by a court buffoon, a subtle jab at the state of the realm. Letter on the table. Finally, the letter itself is a symbol. It bears the year 1533 and Samogitia, Art historians still debate why Matejko chose that date. Smolensk fell in 1514, but it likely represents the unfinished story of lost lands. The letter lying in Stańczyk's grasp is a tangible reminder of the lost Smolensk and Poland's vulnerability. Its presence shows that this is not just a jester's concern, but the nation's concern. Each of these details, Marat, Madonna, comet, lute, and letter, contributes to the painting's message. As one analyst says, the rich symbolism intensifies the scene's emotional depth. None of these is random. Together they turn a simple portrait of a quiet man into a sweeping story about the fate of Poland. In Stańczyk, Matejko captures what critics call the sad clown paradox. A clown is supposed to make people laugh, but here we see him silent and grieving. The colors mirror this mood. Bright reds and golds of the ball are muted by shadow in Stańczyk's corner. The Warsaw National Museum points out that the painting presents Stańczyk with a sense of isolation and hopelessness. He's a jester, yet his face shows no humor, only sorrow and contemplation. This silence is deafening. It is as if Stańczyk is thinking for all of Poland, while the nation's leaders celebrate ignorance. In one profound sense, Matejko turns laughter into silence by freezing this jester's laughter forever. We realize that those who clamor the loudest are not always the wisest. Stańczyk's quiet figure, head resting on hand, embodies the painful wisdom that celebrations are not all that matters. The familiar quip about jesters is flipped. This clown is grave. In the eyes of art historians, Stańczyk stands as an icon of national reflection. It has established itself as an important piece of Polish art. The jester's solitary sorrow symbolizes Poland's declining power at the time, a once great commonwealth blinded by its own victories. Matejko immortalized Stańczyk's solemn face. In fact, he used his own features for the jester to show that any of us could be the one to recognize truth in times of denial. The painting reminds viewers that duty and foresight sometimes come wrapped in a fool's motley. By 1862, Poland no longer existed as an independent country. It had been partitioned by Russia, Prussia, and Austria. Matejko knew this history intimately. Growing up in a partitioned Poland, through Stańczyk, he was sending a message to his own time. The hard-won lessons of the past should not be forgotten. As culture historians explain, Matejko was raised in patriotic traditions and wanted to use his painting to serve the Polish state under annexation, maintaining the national spirit. Stańczyk thus became more than a painting. It turned into an emblem of resistance. In the decades that followed, Poles who wanted to preserve their heritage adopted Stańczyk as a symbol. After the 1863 uprising against Russia failed, a group of writers even adopted the jester's name. Their satirical writings were published as Teka Stańczyk, Stańczyk's portfolio, arguing that Poland should focus on practical reforms rather than doomed rebellions. The image of the pensive jester entered literature and art. In Wyspiański's famous play The Wedding, 1901, the ghost of Stańczyk appears to scold the passive intelligentsia. To this day, when Poles see Matejko's Stańczyk in the museum, they immediately recognize him as a symbol of Polish spirit and wisdom. For Jan Matejko himself, Stańczyk was a career-defining masterpiece. It earned him accolades and set the stage for his later epics. The Warsaw National Museum rightly calls it a flagship painting of its own collection. Over time, it became one of the most famous faces of Polish art. In fact, the picture's fame outgrew the canvas. For example, the jester's image was used as a moral symbol for generations. One writer noted that Stańczyk's character became an important symbol of Polish culture, embodying satire to criticize social problems, while also offering wisdom to the common people. That description could apply equally to Matejko's work. Remarkably, Stańczyk still resonates today. In 2024, it journeyed beyond Poland. The Louvre in Paris featured it in an exhibition about fools and jesters in art. Even pop culture has picked up on it. American singer Lady Gaga used the painting's image on her 2024 album cover Harlequin. These modern homages show that Matejko's Silent Fool still speaks across centuries. People are still captivated by this scene, where laughter is stilled. Jan Matejko's Stańczyk is more than a historical painting. It is a narrative, a lesson, and a mirror. Through dark room and open door, Matejko shows us the power of one man's quiet truth. The painting turns a joke into a warning and a clown's silence into a voice for the nation. As we stand before it today, we realize that Matejko has taught us to listen, even to a laughing face that has fallen mute. Stańczyk's words from long ago ring in our ears as we leave the museum. It is a greater folly to let out a bear that was already in a cage. In Matejko's painting, the Jester shows us why that bears repeating.